What, what did you guys spend the most time talking about in the linebackers room?
I think we just kind of watched the film. It was a tale of kind of two halves. You watch the first half, they were kind of able to do a lot of things, put up 19 points. And then you watch the second half where it seemed like everybody was on top of their game and they ended up getting no points. And I think so you kind of focus on that, focus on, you see what happens when there's one person off on each play or whatever case may be, how it could hurt us, and you can see how well we could play when everybody's on the same page. And you try to look at it from that perspective that, we have to figure out a way to do what we did in the second half for all four quarters, which we've shown, which we're able to do, and we just need to do it. I was a good quarterback, and, we just got to make sure we step up to the plate.
You've led this defense for a long time, and it's unusual to kind of see that first half play out the way that it did. Is that a communication thing, or is that truly just Phillip Rivers being able to take advantage and do what he does?
I think it's a communication thing. I think it's maybe people trying too hard type of thing. But, like you said, I've been around for a minute now. So, I've experienced first halves where we're trailing by 21 and come back. And so it's more of a just, kind of tightening your things up and making sure that, you're doing right and everybody doing right. Can't just be one person. Got to be everybody on the same page, including myself.
What did you learn from the first matchup against the Rams?
That we can't allow them to score as many points as they put up. We felt like we did a really good job against the run for the most part. Outside of if you take away that one fly sweep for like 50-something yards, puts them under 100. So we have to find a way to keep do that. Make them one-dimensional. Find a way to make sure Todd doesn't get into the end zone as many times as he did. And we know we have the recipe to do that, but we have to do it. We can talk about all we want, but if we don't do it on Sunday, then it doesn't mean anything.
How important were the under routes? I mean, Carroll talked a little bit about that just now in preventing some of the things the Rams were running kind of right over the middle when you were rushing five guys.
Yeah, it's real important. I mean, they do a really good job of doing a lot of play action and trying to get the guys deep. And if you get too deep, they check it down to the running back or the low route. Or if you get too low, they try to throw it over your head. And they have a good mixture between a lot of run fakes that complement their passing game. So we just have to be really focused, and we have to be really on our keys and making sure we're playing everything how we're supposed to be playing. And then when they dump it down the check down or we're dump it down low, we got to go down and make our tackles and make our hits. That's something that I noticed from the last game too. There was a lot of times where we did well on everything and didn't make the tackle. So we just have to make sure that our tackling is on point, our eyes are on point, and our discipline is on point.
How vital can KJ Wright be to that aspect of the Rams game?
It's going to be huge for us, especially having him back. His mind, his energy, the way he sees the game, the knowledge that he's able to kind of, communicate across the board. Definitely is going to be cool to have him back for this game.
You're already at a career high in passes defense halfway through the season. Was that the numbers right? Was that kind of a focus for you this year at all, or is that just sort of the way the game's been coming to you?
I've tried to get my hands on the balls and trying to make sure if they throw it in my area, it's not a complete catch, and if it is, I tackle them. But I'm trying to get more picks, get more plays on the balls, and hopefully those pass deflections come into turn into picks. But just trying to be an all-around player, a player that can stop the run, stop the pass, and do whatever.
Your head coach said that was your best half of football maybe you've ever played, the second half in the Chargers. Do you agree with that? Why?
I don't know.
Did you have something to prove after the first half?
Well, I mean, the way we kind of came out the first half, you wanted to come out and you didn't want them to score the points that they were scoring because you knew it wasn't going to give us a chance. And so, someone had to give us a spark, and I wanted to be that guy. So, I wanted to make as many plays as I could and, try to, provide a spark for the team. And that's kind of was my mindset. It's just focus, do my job, and if I can provide a spark while doing it, that'd be great.
Bobby, is there a greater sense of urgency this week? Not that every week isn't, must win, but where you guys are 4-4 heading into the second half of the season. Do you kind of feel that in the meeting room, or how are you guys feeling?
Like you said, I think it's always like a sense of urgency, but, definitely sitting at, 4-4, you understand your mistakes are limited. You can't throw away, some of these games. We have a lot of home games, which, can definitely work in our favor. And, we have to, start making plays. It's not about, the urgency is one thing that we should have regardless of, where we're at in the season. But, we just got to start, making our plays and stacking wins. We can't, win 2 games and lose 2. We got to, be a little bit more consistent. And, I feel like we will. We've grown a lot. We've had a lot of young players grow through this process, experienced a lot of things, ups and downs through this course of the season. And, I think we're ready to kind of make that jump. And, it's a jump that we need to make.
You mentioned young players. When McDougal went out, you guys were really young in that secondary. And as you mentioned, you guys played really well in that second half. Just what have you seen from all those young defensive backs?
Man, they just, flying around and making plays. They're really on it. You can see them, throughout the week, the way they prepare, the way they focus, the way they go about their game. And so when they get the opportunity, it shows. It shows them kind of being on point. And, we're communicating out there. I think, early in the season, it's still, everything is so new. You're trying to figure out what to communicate, how to communicate. Does a young guy tell an old guy something? And, that's all things that we kind of gone through when I first got here. When you have somebody 10 years in the league, you don't feel like you could tell them anything until you realize what type of, how the good defenses are created and how they're formed. And so a lot of that was just part of the growth. And, I think you see that's why they're playing so well.
The fly sweep that you've mentioned earlier, what's the key to defending that?
See it, move when you see it, and then hit it. That's pretty it. I mean, I think it's, a lot of times you have to see it. It's a recognizable play. You just got to have your eyes, on your keys. You got to make sure, watch enough film to understand what does it look like when they hand it off to them, what does it look like when they don't. And, it's a play that we got to stop. Obviously, it got to us a couple times, and we start playing it a lot better in the second half. But, any smart team is going to, try to, incorporate that into their offense, especially seeing how they were able to get it. So I think a lot of it is just recognizing the play and, doing your job.
Do they do that more than any team that you see?
The Rams? I think so. I think they probably do it the most. They have a lot of, the most type of plays with it. Like, it's not always giving it to them. They have runs, they have play action, they have screens, they have all type of looks off of that kind of fly. So they have the biggest offense. And I think, I want to say, I feel like, San Diego probably got that from that, first Rams game. So, we just got to be ready for it.
Is recognition the biggest part? I mean, people talk about how their offensive personnel doesn't change a whole lot. It tends to be the same guys out there almost every play, but they obviously do a lot of different stuff within that.
Yeah. A lot of it is just recognition, because if the game could be really simple, because they do a lot of the same things, but they do it out of different people are doing the same thing. So it looks different, but it's really the same. So if you can, watch a lot of film and understand who the guys that they like to go deep, who's the guys that like to go short, who the guys they like to, don't mind going across the middle and getting hit. If you can recognize that before the play, I think you'll be fine. But you throw in Ty Gurley, and it makes it a little bit harder to, be passive on that, because he's such a good runner. And so you have to respect both sides of it. And I think that's what makes the offense work so well, because the moment you don't respect the run is when they get you in the pass, and when you don't respect the pass is when he gashes you. So it's a game that you really have to be disciplined on, and you really have to be on your game.
Given all the motions, formations, and weapons they have, is this the most difficult offense that you've dealt with, at least certainly this year, maybe for a while?
Yeah, definitely for a while. I would say those 49er days where they had like 18 misdirections, it was probably the toughest because it's like, 4 people pull that way, 2 people pull that way, and they end up throwing the ball. And so the misdirections is more, harder, but, they have a good amount of misdirection stuff that you have to respect.
You guys gotten to the point where like a young guy like Tedrick or Trey or Shaq can tell you, hey, Bobby, look out for this, and things like that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's you encourage that. You want them to speak and say what's on their mind because that's how you grow. When I first got here, that was what Sherm was saying. That's what Cam. That's what Me Bang was saying. Everybody was encouraging just to say anything because even if it's wrong, they can tell you why it's wrong, and that's how you start to figure out the game. And, Me Bang was probably one of the best at figuring out where the ball was going before it, happened. So I learned a lot of that from him. And so a lot of it is just, not being scared to fail and not to be scared of being wrong. And, when you're wrong, we can correct you, and then you end up, being right. And so that's kind of how it was. When I first started, I was trying to call out some plays, and Me Bang was telling me, nah, that's not what's going to happen. And then you learn, and, you have a conversation, and you figure out why he sees it this way, and then you slowly start telling him, like, no, I really think it's going this way. But you have more confidence, and you have, you understand, what you're looking at to make you feel confident about it. So a lot of it is just, you communicating is going to start a conversation, and that's going to, get you the knowledge that you need to feel confident in what you're saying.
As you guys as the biggest underdogs you've been, I think, since 2011. What do you think when you hear that?
I don't care. I mean, I don't care. We been underdogs for a while. I'm not tripping off that. Even, especially my class. Like, they say we sucked. You sit there and you watch the whole draft class, the 2012 draft class, and you watch, on TV. It's supposed to be it's an amazing moment, but you sit there and watch them talk trash about every draft pick that they picked that day and give us an F. So, I mean, if that's not underdog, then I don't know what it is. And we still proving wrong, and we're waiting for an apology.
Appointment, Bruce Irvin going to Atlanta?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping he'd come here and, kind of reunite with us. But at the end of the day, he going back with family, and you got to respect that. I respect his decision and, wanting to be home with his family and things of that nature. Going back with it's a rare opportunity to go home and play with somebody that you've been coached by, which DQ. And, I love DQ to death, so definitely understand the decision.
Put in a call and try to lobby him?
Huh?
Did you put in a call?
I mean, I was hoping he was coming back. As soon as he kind of hit, free agency, I'm pretty sure his phone started blowing up, so I didn't want to, add to it. So.
How much has Ken been on you guys about tackling out the field the past couple of weeks?
He always on us. So, I mean, he's definitely, talked about, our tackling and making sure it's a point of emphasis. And it's an area of our game that's pretty simple that, to me it's a very simple thing is get the person down. And, it makes the game a lot easier when you do that. So it's always a point of emphasis to me.
Anything else? Thanks, Bob.
Good. Appreciate y'all. Enjoy the weather.